Welcome to Success in Motion. Join us as we dive deep with top leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals, uncovering strategies to grow, scale, and succeed.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is your host, Michael Bishop, on the Success in Motion podcast. I'm joined here by Susan Nash. Susan Nash started out at the University of Oklahoma as a student lab tech. She's gone all the way to promoting science and technology, and she spent the past 35 years in science and geology. Susan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, I really am thrilled to be here and I appreciate it. And when you put my life like that, I'm going science and geology, and we talked a little bit about reinvention. And so, yeah, there's a thread of science in all that. But along the way, man, I've been have all different kinds of different journeys. And so I'm really excited to really talk about that, but then mainly talk about what happens when you find yourself confronted with like the collapse of your industry or something that's a huge sea change. What do you do? I mean, how do you pick yourself back up and go forward? And especially when it happens too young, what happens when you lose everything in your 20s?
Yeah, that is a great question because as you and everybody else is aware, AI is taking over the world, for better or worse. I don't know if AI is the solution for everything, but it's the bandwagon that we're all jumping on. Myself included, I jumped on that bandwagon. We put a bunch of effort and resources into building out this huge AI thing, and then realized that AI isn't the solution to everything. Yeah. And so we had to back off of that, right? So there's a huge scare right now of people losing their jobs, losing their career, what they thought that they were going to do forever, especially if it's like copywriting, because a lot of that can be generated with AI. But it does have its limitations. So I'd love to dive into this reinvention idea with you. What does that mean to you, reinvention?
Well, okay, my first reinvention sort of happened after I graduated with my degree in geology. I started out in chemical engineering and then wandered around in business, all sorts of things. I just couldn't figure out what to do. But my dad was a geologist, and he had a really interesting life. He was in mining as well as oil and gas. So I remember going out to wells with him and to mines, and he was quite successful. So that was encouraging. And so anyway, so I got into buying and selling oil and gas leases and drilling wells with my dad's help. And in my 20s, the industry collapsed, and I had reinvested most of my profits into oil and gas leases, thinking, oh, I can sell these and we can drill a well, and they expired. And so there I was thinking, wow, well, what do I do with this expired lease and like an expired bank account? So it turned out to be really a good thing because it was an opportunity to diversify. So I'd always been interested in business and economics. So I went back to school and studied economics with an emphasis on resource development and developmental economics. And then along the way, I changed my mind again and thought, well, I really want to really be able to put all this together. So I studied English and got a master's and then a PhD in English. But when I was doing all that, then I was also working as an international operations analyst for Carnegie. So I reinvented myself. But all along the way, I thought, what are the things that make me a bit able to be interested in other things and change? And so I went back to this like core value of curiosity, like from everything. And I thought, what do English, geology, economics have in common? And they're kind of discourses of explanation. So yeah. I thought it tells me about my world, and it tells me how people fit together in it, and it also tells me how we can all learn about things and thrive together. So I just thought it really, I don't know, that became a sort of an underpinning philosophy of curiosity and then mutual support.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and giving a little more clarification that you are more than just a scientist. You are all of these things that you just explained. And realistically, scientists, like at the core, it is curiosity that leads people into science because science is the study of things to better understand the world around us. And it seems like you've taken that core element of curiosity to dive into different sectors that you've been studying. What are some of the similarities that you've found or correlations that you found in these different areas that you've journeyed through?
Well, okay, so for example, after I graduated with my PhD, I went to work for St. Gregory's College, and it was in Shawnee, Oklahoma. And I was because I had been really interested in technology and doing a lot with computers, et cetera, then and doing web design and things even early on. Then I was doing things with early nascent e-learning. And so in doing that, I started getting really involved in instructional design in those early days and working with subject matter experts, working with these different systems. And it was so exciting to be in this pioneering thing. It was like breaking every other day. We had to fix it. And it's like so much fun to see it come together and try something new. And so then I found it was super satisfying because I would work with so many different subject areas. And that was fascinating to me. And so later, when I got really interested in promoting technologies and different types of technologies, there was a lot of similarity in like just figuring out what's the main message here, what is it used for, what are the fundamentals that make it work, and I just loved it.
That's pretty cool. So when you were reinventing yourself, that's got to be scary, right?
Oh yeah.
You start your life thinking, I have no idea what I want to do when I grow up, and then you pick a field or a path, and then you hit that roadblock. What was it inside of you that kept you from just giving up, and what pushed you to reinvent yourself and be able to make that leap into a new field?
I don't know. The worst one was that first one. And I took it all personally. I thought, well, I couldn't sell the oil and gas leases before I tried and tried and tried. And I felt like such a failure. I was so ashamed. And I was ashamed for my dad because I really wanted him to admire me. And I was ashamed for like mother because she was risk averse and kept telling me to do different things. And I just felt like I blamed it all on myself. And I blamed the industry collapse on myself, which is kind of ludicrous. But like that, I just felt, I don't know, I just really failed. And so what I did is that's when one of the reasons why started taking English classes. When I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I only had 3 hours of English. And then I did economics and all sorts of business and things. And so, but I started taking classes and I was able to resonate with the bleak, despairing novels that I would see in 20th century literature, and then also earlier. I mean, just the human condition, but 20th century novels and poetics really spoke to me, and also like the industrial novels of the 19th century. But I think what I really, really connected with were these like avant-garde fragmentations of either what we'd see the futurists or in the early 20th century or abstract expressionism or language poetics, minimalistic stuff. I liked it because I felt fragmented inside. And so I would start writing. In the meantime, I was earning a living, still doing geology or whatever, or economics and international stuff. And yet I would heal myself by reading and resonating and writing. And I know my mother once told me, she goes, Susan, I think you'd be a lot happier if you wouldn't write that weird poetry. But what she didn't realize is that was what was keeping me going. And the weirder, the better at that point.
Oh, that's too funny. too often as parents, we think we know what's best for our children. I do this all the time for my kids. We think we know what's best. We think we can provide, we want to provide what's best for them. And we don't always take into account the psyche of the child. And so when we disconnect that, we're just looking at raw facts, and we try and point our kids to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a geologist in the oil and gas industry, right? We point them to these different things that, yes, for someone those things are great, but they might not be what's best for this child. And your weird poetry might be what was best to you to keep you through all of these things. Speaking of your poetry and your writing, before we started recording, you were mentioning that you actually have published a few books. Would you like
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about those for a minute?
Oh, sure. Well, I actually grabbed one. Okay, so I didn't, my dissertation, and again, it's like it totally reflected like the need to confront what on earth was going on. But it was it had to do with the apocalyptic narrative and how it was used by mad messiah types to manipulate people and start doomsday cults and and so and like it's really been the gift that's kept on giving, because if you notice, it's like apocalyptic narratives, the world is ending, everything's going to be this conflagration, or you'll be saved if you are a true believer. Like those narratives are very manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I would wanted to like tackle them and to like get on top of it so that I wasn't taken down by them. Because when I was feeling depressed, I would think, oh my gosh, the world as we know it is coming to an end and I can't handle it. But I could. So I did my dissertation. And then as I was doing my dissertation, it was decompressing by writing crazy stories and poetry. And so I had my dissertation's evil twin, and then it's evil triplet. So here's this evil triplet. It's called Doomsday Belly. And it's basically short stories that have to do with just a person who is exploring an absurd world, and and going to different places, like in southern Oklahoma, going to a bait shop where they are doing all kinds of things with making lures and things that are, so it's like, and then I also liked writing, so, and I also like sketching, so I did the Good Deeds Society, and this was actually translated into Slovenian, and became pretty, sold pretty well in Slovenia. And then I did the sketches that were then used by the book designer in these collages. And then this one, I never did tell you, did I? Unsent Letters was actually a bestseller in Slovenia, in Slovenian.
Nice. What what caused you to translate it into Slovenian and get into that market?
Well, I don't speak Slovenian, so I did study Russian, but when I was doing what part of my desire to be successful, I was thinking I needed to be published. And so I was thinking I was going to go into academia, which I did for a while. And so I needed to have publications. And as a creative writer, I did imagine myself being the head of maybe a creative writing program, or at least in one. So I started submitting my work, but then I started publishing and editing a journal and also books. And so in doing that, I managed to meet a lot of different editors and authors, and internationally too. So a lot that so I was invited to go to a Slovenian book fair. It actually took place in caves, and part of it took.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, in the karst area near Croatia, and and it was in Lepica, where they have the Lipizzaner stallions, and they're like born gray, but they turn white anyway, and they're fancy, like in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. But at any rate, I really connected with people there, so I ended up publishing English translations of Slovenian writers as well. So it was really a wonderful wonderful thing that has gone on. It's still going on to a degree, but it went on strong, really well for about 15 years.
That's pretty cool. With that being a writer, right? There's a lot of writers out there. There's
Oh, yeah.
heavy competition in that area. What is it that sets you apart from other writers?
Well, okay. So recently I've primarily been writing business articles and technologies and more technical writing, but mainly kind of business reporting or reporting on new technologies or trends or things like that. And the creative, I don't really push myself to get published as much as I used to. So I guess I'm just doing it for my own satisfaction. So I guess in that way, I feel like I have had the urge to like collect all my stuff together and maybe send it out and get up to date with publishing, but I really haven't. And I've had different poems and short stories published here and there, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel. Well, first of all, I guess um, I know that I'm writing or I'm working because I like it, and I'm giving myself the freedom to write whatever I want to. And I don't really want to have to write in a certain way that's going to be commercial because I'm already doing that in my other work.
Yeah, but before the show started, we were talking a little bit about your writing and how you do all of this stuff with the science and with economics and all of that you do, so that you can have freedom to go and do the writing without having to do the writing the way somebody else wants you to do it. Um, let's talk a little bit about that and how you've designed your life to be able to do what you want when you want and how you want it versus having to do what somebody else wants you to do.
Well, I think the first thing is, as you can tell, the theme is like diversification and staying curious about everything. And then always thinking about, do I have tools or abilities or knowledge or insights that will be useful to people? And how can I make other people look good? So in my day-to-day job, what I do is I scout around, look at new technologies, or I try to see what's going on in the new trends and find out who's doing what. And then I invite them or help build programs at conferences, workshops, webinars, etc., to maximize the value to them as individuals, but also to the audience to help them learn something that will help them diversify, help them continually reinvent themselves. And I do, so that's kind of how it fits together.
Okay. So if someone listening to us wants to reinvent themselves, where would you suggest that they start, or what tips would you give them?
Well, I think the first thing is like Socrates, know thyself. I mean, understand at least a part of yourself, and then understand the part that you don't understand. Like, say, what what are the fears? When do you feel a little bit nervous? And like kind of embrace that to understand the sort of core existential anxiety that, like, if you can handle that, like, there's nothing. I mean, I'm not saying like muscle yourself through depression. I'm not saying that muscle your way out of depression because that's not possible. But I'm saying that at least be aware of the landscape and the fluctuating moods and feelings, so that when you have a moment of self-doubt, you recognize it and it's not going to terrify you. And or if it is, if you do need to like talk to someone, find out where your support group is or a person that you can trust, and talk to that person, and that can really help. I mean, it really helps. So, and then I'd say find out what you're interested in. Don't try chasing a moving train. Like, if you say, oh my goodness, I need to do this because this is a new deal, and find out what you're interested in, and then what kind of tools can enhance you. So you were talking about AI. Well, I mean, maybe AI can help you do certain things, like help you do more structured search of information, or when you're pulling together information, put it into a table. That's very useful things. But in terms of interest, like for example, if you love dogs and you want to get more into dogs, maybe you want to like get involved in dog food, or doggy dresses for pugs or something. Although I think it's uncomfortable for the pug to have to wear a dress. But um, just find what it is that you like and then map out steps to get from point A to B.
Yeah, you said a couple of things there that could be super valuable that I want to make sure that people are paying attention to, right? When you are trying to reinvent yourself, you made me think of this idea of too often we try and uh, find this whole new, completely different thing than we've ever done, and we have to start fresh. That's not what reinvention really means, right? It's find something that you've enjoyed doing and find a different way to do it, right? If everybody else is going left, how can you go right? Because there's not a bunch of competition over there. And then take your skills from knowing how to go left and apply that to going right. And then once you've once you've realized that you can do something similar to what you're doing, just do it in a different way. Go find something that you enjoy, but not only something that you enjoy, but that you know can bring value to other people. And so anything that you find that you can bring value to others with, you can turn into revenue, right?
Exactly. And also understanding that people are going through the same types of things. So if you can think of ways where you band together and you help each other, then that's a valuable network. And if you understand the topics that you have in common, that really helps too. And there are just so many things. I mean, I'm thinking a specific example. A lot of geologists who are in oil and gas understand the subsurface, and they say, okay, now we're going to geothermal and resources. Why not use those same skills in geothermal? And in my own case, being interested in resources and having a geological background as well as economics, it made it really, really easy for me to find things that I was interested in terms of helping um, countries or companies or communities develop their resources and grow.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's a lot of people, not a lot of people, a lot of times we think that we are pigeonholed into a specific thing and we can't branch out of that. We think that we have one set of skills and that's all that we have. Or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, and you've been doing that for the past 10, 15 years while your kids are getting off to school. And now you're like, okay, my kids are 18, they've moved out of the house. Now what do I do? Often we forget about the skills that we pick up along the way,
Oh,
right?
exactly.
And we undersell ourselves. My wife, I love her to death. She works 10 times harder than I do because she's a stay-at-home mom. She does that full time. She also homeschools, which is
Mhm.
another bit
That's
of
huge.
masochistic torture that she puts on herself. She loves it. Um, so but often I ask her, like, what are you good at? And she's like, oh, I'm not good at anything. And I'm like, are you serious? You run an entire business that is our life. And she sells herself short too often. And I'm constantly building her up and pointing out things, well, you're good at doing this and you do this very well. And so don't fall into that trap of thinking because you're just a mom or you're just this or just that, that you don't have any skills, because really we all have innate talents and skills, things that come easy to us, things that we enjoy doing. It's just connecting the dots for those things are the things that we've done a lot and how we can take that into that new reinvention of who we're going to be on the other side of that change.
That's exactly right. And what I was thinking about this when you were describing your wife, I mean, huge skills in project management. I mean, just huge. And also in leadership, motivation, etc. And then those are translatable. I mean, great organizational skills in terms of event planning, event management. I mean, if somebody sometimes I think of myself as kind of a wedding planner because of the events that I get involved with, and I usually focus on the technical program, but I've had to do. I work closely with the meeting planners to do the space and the arrangements and the food and catering, and I mean, if a lot of people are really good at that and they don't recognize that they are, and all they need to do is get a little bit of experience, a few little maybe even a couple of online courses, or mainly experience. And then any local hotel is going to want to have events. So I just walk over there and offer to help, and and just be and that's where I've actually had my big breakthrough opportunities. I just walked up and said, "Oh, I see you have this. How would you like to promote it and grow it?" And they think about putting the puzzle pieces together, and and then there's a framework. Either it's an event or a course or something, but it's something definable and marketable. And you'd be amazed at how many times great things can come from what seemingly before was nothing.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy how we can invent and create from apparent thin air, right? And come up
Yeah.
with ideas and things. And if you can find a way for someone to find value in what you're doing, you can create a job. You can
Yes.
monetize it. You can sustain yourself off of generating value. That's really what money is for, right? It's the
Hmm?
reward for generating value to someone else. And it doesn't matter what that is. Anything from picking up poop to writing books to going and doing research and scientific experiments, all of that provides value to someone and they're happy to pay for it. So again, don't sell yourself short. So Susan, what has been one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career?
Um, I think mainly it has to do with changes in, well, okay, for on the personal side, overcoming anxiety and uncertainty and like learning self-regulation and how to keep and strategies for keeping a positive attitude. And I developed what I call the two hour rule that if things will be better, my emotional state will be better within 2 hours, if and only if I stop brooding on the thing that's making me anxious. And I just focus on corrective action or something else. And then, a lot of swimming and tennis, and that helps too. Um, but then on the other, so on that side, I've had to overcome that. And in the world around me, um, what understanding what happens when things collapse. I mean, is there really such a thing as total collapse? And is the apocalyptic narrative really going to happen? And the answer is no, it won't. And so things will change, but in every change is opportunity. So I've had to overcome the inability to see anything beyond the negativity. I've had to learn how to overcome that and look at the world around me in a different way.
Yeah, you were talking about collapse and starting over. When we think of starting over in general, like most people, we're thinking about, oh, if I had to start over, that would be the worst, right? Because there's no way I want to go back to high school and have to start at that point. But realistically, if we start over today, we're not going back to high school.
We're building.
We're starting on a foundation that we've built over the past 20 or 30 or 40 years of life. And then we're restarting from there. So we're not going back to, I'm 18, I just graduated, I have nothing, I have to get my first job at McDonald's. That's not where you're starting from by any means. You're starting from a long life of making choices. And you can say they were bad choices, or you could say those were learning experiences and I
Hmm.
won't make those mistakes again. So when you go and reinvent yourself, you know how to do it better this time because you've made all the mistakes that you needed to make to learn how to reinvent yourself.
It's exactly right. It's all scaffolding. And another thing too, I tell myself when something unexpected happens or there's a kind of like disappointment, I go, well, I was probably saved from something more hideous.
Yeah, I love it. So um, anyway, let's change gears here. Um,
Okay.
a, a big thing that people are talking about these days is work-life balance. Juggling your work life and your personal life, keeping those two balanced. Is work life balance a thing to you, or is that just hype?
It's a real thing to me because I feel like I have to recharge and in order to stay creative or stay curious. Um, and now I will say I work at night and I work early mornings, but I also try to take breaks during the day, and and also I really tell myself like, okay, now I need to go and play the piano, or I need to write something or something like keep I because I want to try everything. So I guess maybe that's not balanced. So I guess my fundamental imbalance looks like work-life balance.
Nice. I think work life balance has its place. There's a time and a season for it. I
Yeah.
think every time you are starting something new, you're going to be a bit out of balance. But what really helps is just staying present and
Hmm.
doing
Yeah.
what really is the task that's put there in front of you. If you're at work, be at work. If you're at home, be at work. Sorry, don't be at work, be at home. And when you try and bring work home or you try and bring home to work, that's when you really get out of balance. And so I don't think it's necessarily, I have to have 5 pounds of work over here to equal this 5 pounds of home life. I think it's more of just being present wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Um,
Exactly, exactly. And then knowing that you have sort of deliverables or goals that you have to do, so making sure that you're getting those done, and in terms of work, being efficient, so you don't sabotage yourself.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've taken some of your personal life and been able to create work out of that by writing a few books and doing that for fun and enjoying what you do, and then publishing it at your own pace, not having to do that for work because somebody told you to do that, but because you enjoy doing that and just going and doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it sounds like things are going pretty well for you in this uh, life of reinventing yourself. A lot of people are looking towards the future and how they can create passive income. You talked earlier about diversification and having different sources of things that you're doing. People are looking for passive income to either enhance or replace their current income. What are your thoughts about this?
I've tried different ways to do it. I tried being a landlord, and I hated that. So that didn't work out for me. But I thought, hey, I could be a real estate. I could have a real estate empire and have two or three little rental places, and I don't know. I just didn't like it. I liked fixing up the places, and that was fun. And I liked kind of the design elements and the project management aspect of it. That was fun. But
Yeah.
and I'd say the older ideas of passive income, for example, from royalties, that's changed a lot. Now I think in royalties from oil and gas or royalties from creative endeavors. But I think it's there are different ways. A lot of people create apps and they put them in the app store and sell them, and a fantastic way if that's what you like to do.
Yeah, passive income is an interesting thing that a lot of people don't understand really what it is. Like you talked about the landlord thing, right? How passive was that, right?
Yeah, it
You have
wasn't
to
as
find
passive as I
tenants,
hoped.
you have to find contractors, when the toilet's messed up or your window breaks, you have to clean up the place between tenants to make sure that it gets revamped. There's all sorts of things. People call that passive income because it's a big buzzword, but it's really anything but passive when it
I
comes
agree
down
with
to it.
you.
And there are passive opportunities out there, but typically passive opportunities, you have to find some form of active work to get you to the point that it is passive. And that can be anything from going out and saving up a bunch of money and going and investing that into something that can be passive. It's going to be you building up a company that you can then step away from and it continues to work. It can be you writing a book
Hmm.
and then putting it on Amazon and Amazon just taking care of that for you. It might not be much here or there, but it's still passive income. Maybe you write 1,000 books and all of those are paying you, right? But there's some work involved in that. But passive income, you really, for me, it's not about just getting sitting back and getting paid. It's finding balance in what do I want to put in this and what do I want
Hmm.
to get out of it,
Right.
and being okay with both,
Hmm.
right?
And the risk
Typically,
elements too. How much risk you're willing to stand.
yeah, that's another thing that people don't really talk about is the risk of investing. You experience that with your leases on your your mining or mineral rights, right?
Yes.
Um, you lease those out during a downturn in the oil and gas industry, and then your lease expired, and so
Yep.
you didn't really uh, anticipate that risk that's involved in that. So you do have to be aware of risk because that is a real thing in everything. Even if you're doing a rental home,
Hmm.
there's risk involved in that. A tornado can hit it and wipe the whole thing out, right? So
Yep.
you have to make sure that you're prepared for that. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts on passive income. I love that topic. I think everybody should have multiple streams of income.
Yes.
Um, that doesn't mean you need to go have 6 jobs that you're working full time, but that means you need to find ways to generate income and then make your income work for you. And that can be anything from
100%.
having different businesses, having different investment opportunities. The stock market can be one of those, 401k,
Hmm. Yeah.
IRA, any of those things are options. Go find what makes sense for you and make sure that you're getting multiple streams of income. Um, well, as we're wrapping up our interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, let's see. I have really gotten back into looking at a lot of my old manuscripts and writing and things like that. So really working on that and thinking about revitalizing or reinvigorating and taking a little bit different direction with my press. It's texture press. It's pretty dormant. So I was thinking about revitalizing it, at least doing something with updating the website and getting a few more public new articles or books to publish from different authors. So thinking about doing that. Um, in terms of big travel plans or anything like that, I don't have anything like that. Although I have thought about going. I spent a lot of time in Paraguay, and I was thinking about going back there and just spending some time.
That sounds like fun. I've heard great things about Paraguay. Um, well, Susan, thank you so much for your time today and sharing some insights and tips with us, especially around the reinvention aspect. If people want to connect with you, get to know you a little bit better, what should they do?
Well, go to LinkedIn, and I'm just Susan Nash, and the affiliation is AAPG, American Association of Petroleum Geologists. So that's how you can find me from the others. And I would just love to hear from you and share ideas.
And that's Susan Susan Nash.
Yes, Nash.
Um, well, Susan, again, thank you for your time today. This has been fun. And everybody, thank you for joining us for this fun conversation with Susan Nash. I'm excited to have her here. I'm grateful for her. And I'm also grateful for all of you guys who listen to us. And hopefully somebody can take something away from this and be able to reinvent themselves. And well, guys, that's the end of today's show, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into Success in Motion. Want to share your story? Visit successinmotionpodcast.com/guest to apply and be featured on the show.